couple days ago, I did an exercise where I looked at all the Asian national teams participating at the 2026 World Cup. I pulled up the pots and all the potential opponents, and I gave each of them my group of death and group of life. And in today's video, I'm doing the exact same freaking thing, only with CONCACAF sides. As I assume many of you could tell by the title of the video, I am going to go team by team. I am going to start with the U.S. men's national team, but before I do, guys, please smash the like button. It is 10:30 at night. I'm on vacation. I'm on PTO. I shouldn't be here, but I kept seeing comments that y'all wanted to see this CONCACAF edition, okay? So I better see a lot of likes in the video because I'm in New Orleans and I just hit Cafe Du Monde and I'm full of beignets and I'm tired. So a like would go a long way in showing your appreciation. And of course, comment down below if you're American, Canadian, Haitian, what is your group of death and your group of life? Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you want to see my reaction to the official World Cup draw on December 5th, as well as the 6,000 other World Cup videos that will be on the channel, make sure you are subscribed, okay? All right. Now that the formalities are out of the way, let's get down to business here. U.S. men's national team, group of death, in my opinion, starting with the pot two. Very simply for me, the number one team is Colombia. Water is wet, the sun is hot, and Colombia is better than CONCACAF. I don't think there's any CONCACAF team that matches up well with Colombia. Canadians will say, we drew them 0-0. You were very lucky, and Colombia rotated. I'm not trying to be a dick. That's just the fact. Nobody wants Colombia. A lot of you will expect me to say Morocco. I'm just going to be straight up. I'm not having a strong opinion on the Moroccans until I watch them intensely at the next AFCON. I need to see a couple things first. I don't doubt that they're a good team. I know they're a good team. I just don't know if they're a doom opponent for the U.S. men's national team. Another team, though, that I do think is a doom opponent is Switzerland. I think these guys are crazy underrated. How many times are they going to make the knockouts at World Cups before they start getting a little bit of respect? Not that they're disrespected. They're just kind of not mentioned. But they destroyed the U.S. men's national team in the, I'm not going to say early Poch years because I think it was after the Gold Cup, but like, I don't know, middle of his tenure, you could say, beat Mexico as well, scored hella goals in both of those games. They're a very good team. They're very tactically well drilled. They press very high up the pitch. It's a lot for the U.S. to deal with, in my opinion. And the third team is Japan. Yes, I am a Japanese simp. Yes, the Japanese B team lost to the U.S. and thoroughly lost to the United States a couple windows ago, 2-0. I'm aware of that, but I am confident that if we ran it back with the starting 11s from both teams, the Japanese would come out on top. They are a very good team. They play very relentless football at times. When they want to, they are extremely difficult. When you sit back and force Japan to operate in tight spaces, they can struggle. But I don't think Pochettino and the United States are going to do that. I think they're going to have offensive wingbacks. I think they're going to go for it again, and I would expect 4 goals in this game if we saw it again. I think it would be cinema. I hope that we get it, but I don't think it's the opponent that the States want. In pot 3, let's just keep it a buck, right? It is Norway, and I know it's a boring answer, and you guys want me to say a hot take. I know a lot of you guys are watching, and you're like, please say Uzbekistan is the doom opponent. Look, I love Uzbekistan. I think it would be a great game. I don't think it would be the doom opponent, though. I think it is the Norwegians. Nobody wants the smoke from these fermented fish merchants. They bullied Italy twice. They won their qualifying group. They're a very good team. They're in form. They are scary. Are they perfect? Are they destined for a semifinal like some people talk about them? I don't think so. But again, looking at the options here, no one's going to pick Norway. So I'm going to go with that. Everybody else is a pot 3. I think the United States could deal with relatively well. I'm not guaranteeing 3 points. I'm not even guaranteeing a draw. I kind of want to say South Africa is a hot take here, but again, I want to see them at the AFCON more. And in pot 4, again, everybody says Italy, which I think they will be tough. I think Denmark, to me, are a little bit better defensively and a little bit better of a pressing side. Italy do have the advantage in chance creation, but I think either of those opponents would not be good for the States. So my group of death would be the USA, Colombia, Norway, and Italy. Or you could say the United States, Switzerland, South Africa for my scorching hot take, and Denmark. Or you could say the United States, Japan, Norway, and Italy. I think those are the groups of death. Groups of life, potentially, for the States. In pot 2, I'm saying Iran, mainly for a lack of speed. I think Iran would struggle to keep up with the States. Iran, since 2022, have gotten worse. The United States, since 2022, have gotten better. The States won last time. I think the same thing would happen, be a close game, 2-1, something like that. I'm also going to say Australia. Now, some of you are saying, Jack, what the hell? You're like a koala-loving mofo. How are you going to say that Australia? I thought they were one of your dark horse picks. They are one of my dark horse picks, but I think the States is a really, really bad matchup for Australia because they're basically Australia in terms of physicality, just now with more of a European technical ceiling. And I think that we saw that in the last friendly. Australia couldn't really do much. It wasn't a terrible showing from them. They did rotate because their coach is a madman. But I think Australia does not want the United States, and I think the States would take the Aussies as a Pot 2 team. They'd be feeling really, really good about taking a win there. In the Pot 3, I am going to stay in Asia. It's Qatar. Qatar, the weakest Pot 3 team. I do think they're worse than Panama overall, despite being back-to-back Asian Cup champions. They're just not very good. If the States couldn't beat them, it'd be one of the biggest embarrassments in United States men's national team history, and I don't think Pochettino could recover from a Qatar defeat at the World Cup. I'll be honest with you. Outside of that, I would say Saudi Arabia. These are two teams that sort of played each other at the Gold Cup. It was the entire Saudi B team. The Saudi A team, they're a little bit more athletic. They score a little bit more. They're starting to create more chances, actually. I saw their game at the Arab Cup. They are starting to cook a little bit, you could say, but I still think the States would take that. And if I have to pick a non-Asian team because, they would pull either Iran or Australia in the Pot 2, I would say Egypt because I'm just not impressed from what I've seen in the last two games from these guys. I think they're very one-dimensional. I think the States could beat them. In the Pot 4, I'm going to say New Zealand is the dream team here, but if it has to be a European side, because a lot of groups will have two European sides, I'm going to say it's either Ukraine, Poland, or Albania, because all three of these teams are pretty mid. All three of these teams have some really bad games recently. Poland lost to Finland. They barely beat Malta 3-2. Absolutely embarrassing. Albania are just not that good. Like, they haven't really beaten a good team since Ukraine in the Nations League group stage, I think it was. And Ukraine themselves, Canada ran them over recently 4-2, and they barely beat Iceland twice. Kind of scanned them in both games. Ukraine, I mean, it's debatable should they even be in the playoff. Any of those European sides in the States are feeling good. So, group of life for the States. Either Iran, Egypt, Ukraine, or Australia, Egypt, Poland. Or if I have to go with a non-Asian team in Pot 2, I would say Uruguay at the moment. Uruguay, Qatar, Poland, I guess, or Uruguay, Qatar, Albania, one of those guys. You know what I'm trying to say. Okay, so those are my U.S. groups. You guys comment down below what you think. Canada next. Group of death for Canada. Pot 2, I'm saying either Morocco, see, I don't hate Morocco, or Japan. I think both of these teams would be very, very difficult. I was kind of thinking Switzerland too, but I actually think that Canada has so much speed up top that they could take advantage of the Swiss high line. It would be a amazing matchup. Canada, Switzerland, oh my God, please, I hope we get that. But Morocco, just very well-rounded team. A lot of ways to hurt Canada, a Canadian side that's not really scoring a lot at the moment. I kind of picked these two teams for offensive output. Japan, lots of goals. I do not expect Canada to sit back. Here's the thing, same thing I said earlier. If Jesse Marsch is going to say, you know what, guys, today I'm feeling like Sean Dyche. We're going to sit in the 5-4-1 and we're parking the effing bus, then I think they could get something against Japan. But I think they're going to try to press, and I think they're going to be intense, and I think that's going to leave space in behind. Japan sometimes play very well out of the press. Sometimes it doesn't work. Hasn't really failed since the Asian Cup. It's been a while, but the precedent is there if they want to go back and watch how Iran kind of dealt with Japan in that quarterfinals match. Because of how Jesse Marsch wants to play, because we really haven't seen any tactical flexibility, I think it would be a bad matchup against the Japanese and what Moriyasu wants to do. In Pot 3, boring, again, Norway, I think it'd be very tough. Or Paraguay. I think Paraguay is another scary opponent for Canada here. They are very good defensively, so I think Canada, we saw them struggle to create anything against a Venezuelan B team. Let alone a Paraguayan A side, which at times was one of the best, top three defenses in South America. The difference is Venezuela's attack was a bunch of teenagers, and Paraguay's will be led by Julio Enciso. So big difference in quality there. Not a great opponent for Canada in the Pot 3. In the Pot 4, Doom 1, again, boring. Italy, just for overall toughness. If I want to go scorching hot take here, I think Jordan would be a bad matchup for Canada. If Canada pulls Switzerland, what would just be a banger? If they pulled Switzerland, Algeria, and Jordan, oh my God, that's the cinema group right there. We're not even doing that one. We're just doing group of life and group of death. That would be incredible because I'm telling you now, Jordan have so much pace up top, and they're a very good mid-pressing team. that I think Canada's midfield, which is pretty technical. I think Kone is kind of press proof. I don't know about Eustachiao, but I think there could be a turnover there. And I just think Jordan would be playing with so much freedom because they're not going to be expected to do anything at this World Cup. And I'm telling y'all, if you've never watched Jordan, man, they're so fun. They're so vertical. So vertical. They just bomb it downfield, and their best three attackers just run after it. It's super fun to watch. Canada, I mean, it just be a sprint race all day. So it kind of depends. Is Alphonso Davies back? Is Alistair Johnston back? Is it Nico Sigur? Who's in the back line? Is it going to be Figueroa, or is it going to be somebody slower like a Waterman? Jordan could be a tough pot 4 team depending on circumstance. So that's my spicy hot take here. So I guess my group of death for Canada is Canada, Morocco, Norway, Italy, or Canada, Japan, Norway. Well, it couldn't be Jordan, so it'd be Italy again. Or Morocco, Paraguay, Jordan. Ooh, pretty sexy groups there, I'm not going to lie. Okay, dream group for Canada. Pot 2, I think it's Ecuador. I just think they're going to beat the shit out of each other, like, with the club. And at the end of the game, it's going to be a 0-0, and everyone's going to walk away feeling really disappointed. That's what I think is going to happen if Ecuador play Canada. Now, the irony here is that these two teams just played each other, but unfortunately, Ali Ahmed had to get a red card within 5 minutes of the game, and it was no longer something usable. Like, it just, instead of being a great World Cup warm-up, it just became Canada practicing playing down a man, and Ecuador, outside of a couple crosses, really didn't do a damn thing here. How would it have looked like if they were pressing the Ecuadorian back line? Well, the Ecuadorian back line has made mistakes recently. I don't know. I just think it would probably be a 0-0 or a 1-1 here in this game. I think Canada would take that as a pot 2, and I think they would also take Uruguay. I'm going with both South American teams here. Not Colombia, though. That would be scary. Although I do think Canada's best equipped to play Colombia, but let's not talk about that now. I do think it's Ecuador or Uruguay. Not just because of Uruguay being dead, but also a little bit of that, Copa America third place game, man. They could not cope. And guess what? As of time of recording, it's the same manager from both sides. It's Bielsa versus Marsh. And I thought Marsh beat the crap out of Bielsa. If Bielsa didn't just have superior players, if Marsh didn't rotate in that third place game, then I think Canada goes on to win that. So both of those teams I think Canadians will take. I don't think they're afraid of either. In pot 3, I think it's Saudi Arabia for one specific reason, and that is how bad they are at playing out of a press. If you want to talk about a team that Jesse Marsh should be going full blitzkrieg on, it is the Saudis. And if they do, they will win the game. This is how Indonesia got their famous 2-0 win against the Saudis at home. They basically just pressed them, and the Saudis collapsed. I expect the same thing to happen because Canada is significantly better than Indonesia. And in the pot 4 dream team, I'm going with either Cape Verde, if I get to pick an African side, or likely because I need a European team here, I'm going with either like a Romania or an Ireland. And I know both of those teams might not qualify, but I'm just going to throw them in here. Ireland, mainly because they're not really that great at anything. They're just kind of like a average side. They don't really press a ton. Their possession's okay. They're kind of like a cross-heavy side. They're not super talented, but they are disciplined. Canada would take that as well. Cape Verde don't really have a trap card. They're again, like a good team, athletic team, but I haven't liked them in the games that I've seen. I'll just put it that way. And in Romania's case, well, they've literally lost to Canada 3-0 at home. I don't think the performance deserved a 3-0 loss. It probably should have been a 3-1 or a 2-1, something like that, but they were outplayed at home. They recently drew to Cyprus, didn't keep a clean sheet against San Marino in 2 tries. They're just not very good. Canada would take that. So my dream group would be Canada, Ecuador, Saudi Arabia, and Romania or Ireland, because I do not have a European team in my pot 2 or pot 3. I don't know if Scotland's a dream team for Canada. I really don't think it is. If you got to get a European side in, then I feel like Canada would take Austria in pot 2. That's probably the team you would want. So like an Austria, Saudi Arabia, Cape Verde, another dream group for the Canadians. But y'all let me know what you think. Moving on to Panama, my favorite national team. Death group for Panama, pot 1. I'm going to be honest here, y'all. Basically everybody, like there's not really a good team, but I think the doom pot 1s for Panama, England, I think it's a 4-goal win by England in this case, Brazil or Spain. Just too much firepower, too much ability, too strong of a midfield. Coco Carrasquilla can't do it by himself. I mean, he'd be like Peter Parker when he's trying to hold the subway back. You know, he's like this. I know you guys have seen the Spider-Man movie. Only in this case, it wouldn't work, and the train would fall and everybody would die. That's pretty much what would happen if Spain's midfield went up against Panama. In pot 2 is Colombia, because again, Colombia, well, I mean, they murdered Panama 5-1 in the Copa America quarterfinals. There was no Coco Carrasquilla in that game. Would he make a difference? Yes, but Colombia would still probably win by 3 goals. So just really, if you're from Central America, the Caribbean, North America, you just do not want to face the Colombians or Japan. I think Japan would be really, really tough because I don't think Christensen would sit back. Again, if you don't sit back, it's going to be a tough time against Japan. Japan wants possession sides. That's how they go at you. Christensen is going to do that. Even if Panama wanted to sit back, truth be told, I don't think they got the personnel. I think it would crumble. They'd make a mistake. Someone would foul somebody in the box within the opening 10 minutes, and the plan would go to shit. So I think both of those teams would be bad. And in pot 4, either Italy or Turkey would be very, very tough for the Panamanians. In the group of life, so I'll recap my group of death. It would be England, Colombia, Panama, Italy, or Brazil, Japan, Panama, Turkey, or Spain, Colombia, Panama, Italy. Damn, dude, that'd be hard for most teams to make it out of. Group of life now for Panama. Hear me out. I think it's Portugal and pray. I don't even have an argument here. I just think there's the ability for the Portuguese national team to get in their own heads. You want Ronaldo furious. You want him pouting. Maybe he misses a tap in or something and he's just throwing a fit. He's not pressing. Panama don't really have to worry about him too much. And you just pray that they're having an off day like they're playing, Ireland or something like that. That's really what you have to do here. Otherwise, there really is not a pot 1 that you would want to play. The pot 2 team I think they want, Uruguay. Uruguay beat Panama in the group stage of the last Copa America. It was 3-1, but I'm going to be honest with y'all. You can go back and watch the live stream. It's on the channel. In the second half, Panama were putting them under it, man. Like, if Panama had a bit more of a clinical day, they could have tied it 2-2. And then who knows? Maybe Bielsa wouldn't even be here right now if that result happened. But they ended up losing 3-1. I think they'd be feeling comfortable at that revenge game. I think they have enough talent to go out to go at a disillusioned Uruguayan side. Otherwise, I mean, Iran would be a phenomenal matchup. I mean, that'd be fun. Panama Iran would be really, really fun. And I don't know, maybe for the vibes, Austria would be an interesting matchup as well. And in the pot 4, I think it would be either Cape Verde or Jordan. And again, Jordan-Panama would be pure cinema. Jordan mainly for the defensive concerns. Panama do cross the ball quite often. Jordan can't really deal with that. And Cape Verde, I just don't know if Panama's really worse than them. So I think you'd be taking that. I guess you could say New Zealand too, but New Zealand, I see like Suriname would sit back and, well, we saw that Panama couldn't beat them twice. So I'm going to say Cape Verde or Jordan. Meaning my group of life is Portugal, Uruguay, Panama, Cape Verde. Or you could say Portugal, Uruguay, Panama, Jordan. That's some fire groups. God, y'all better smash the like button. Curaçao next up. Group of death. Pot 1 for me, Germany, Netherlands. Too much firepower, too much speed, too strong of a midfield. The Curaçaoan midfield is very, very good. Comenencia, and the Bacuna Bros going up against Frankie de Jong. I just think it'd be a long day at the office for the Curaçaos. They'd have to have a near-perfect masterclass to get something there. Both teams are too good for them, in my opinion. Pot 2, I think a really bad opponent would be Morocco or Colombia. Again, I'm looking either for an all-around team that doesn't really have a weakness, good chance creation. Basically the opposite of Jamaica is who I think Curaçao should be looking to avoid. In Colombia, I'm talking about take-on ability, beating your defender wide one-on-one, crazy scary from set pieces. No Caribbean team really defends set pieces very well. I think those would be death opponents, quite frankly, for Curaçao. And then pot 3, boring again, Norway. I think it'd be too tough. So I'd be going Netherlands, Morocco, Norway, Curaçao, or Netherlands, Colombia, Norway, Curaçao, or replace Germany with either of those. Group of life. I'm going to go pot 1, Belgium, baby. I think the Curaçaoans want the Belgians. Oh, I should have made a joke about Netherlands versus Netherlands B. Damn it. Missed opportunity there. Anyways, pot 1, it would be Belgium. Because if Kazakhstan can get a draw, if North Macedonia can get a draw, then Curaçao can get a draw. We've seen at their peak, they can take points off the big teams. They did it against Jamaica twice. They did it against Canada at the Gold Cup. Belgium do concede goals. Curaçao don't create a lot of chances, but when they do, they tend to convert. I could see a insane upset 1-1. Again, that's not a prediction. I'm just saying that it could happen. Pot 2, 100% Australia. 100% dream team is Australia. And let me tell you why. Curaçao is going to sit back and they're going to force Australia to be the favorites. They're going to force Australia to have the ball. They're going to force Australia to create. They're not good at that. They're terrible every single time it happens. I think Australia, they look like a lost puppy every time you ask them to break down a low block instead of being a low block themselves. They need to be the underdog to thrive, and they wouldn't against Curaçao. I think the game's going to suck, quite frankly. And then in pot 3, I could say Qatar because of the weak defense and the fact that Curaçao could probably counter them pretty effectively. But hot take here. I got a couple hot takes in here. I'm saying Tunisia for the same goddamn reason as Australia. When Tunisia has to be the one doing the tiki-taka, doing the triangles in the middle of the pitch, they're not as effective. They need you to try that. They need you to be the fun guy at the party. They want to be the party pooper. When the roles are reversed, when you hit them with the Uno card, they struggle, just like Australia. So that means my dream group for Curaçao is Belgium, Australia, Tunisia, Curaçao. It is not unthinkable that they could get something in that group. It really isn't. And lastly, we have the Haitians, group of death. Pot 1s. I couldn't really think of like a strong case for any nations in particular, but I went with Argentina as the death pot 1 for Haiti. There is a little bit of the, Argentina underestimated the Saudis at the last World Cup. Maybe they could do it again. And I suppose that's possible. But I think with Haiti, how Meunier likes to play, where his line tends to be pretty high, I just think Argentina have too much quality, man. With Messi, you can't play that way with Messi, Simeone, Julian Alvarez in the attack. You cannot. Even Nico Gonzalez, yes, he might be kind of fraudulent at times, but he still is pacey. And I just think there's too much to be exploited by Argentina against Haiti. I'm kind of thinking to like the first half against Costa Rica where they just really got picked apart by playing through the middle. I could see the Argentines doing something similar, and I would say Spain as well. Just anybody who can play and create centrally, Haiti's going to really struggle with a lot. In the pot 2, let's say Colombia, the CONCACAF killers. I'm also going to go with Croatia. Feel like it'd be a tough matchup for Haiti. In the pot 3, boring, yes, Norway, or hotter take here to keep y'all on your toes, South Africa. I think South Africa would come out guns blazing against Haiti, and I think it would be a very entertaining, high-scoring game. I would see this as like a 3-2, something like that. One of the games of the World Cup, I think, would be Haiti versus South Africa. But I think the South Africans have much more experience going up against tougher national teams. I mean, there's a reason they won their group. Even with the points deduction, Nigeria couldn't beat them twice. They're a very good side. I don't even know the last time they lost. It might have been the last AFCON on penalties. Again, AFCON's going to change everything for these African sides, but I think South Africa would be a beast of a matchup. And I don't know if Meunier, who doesn't really tactically adjust that much, I don't think he'd be able to get it done against South Africa. And I don't know how much pressure South Africa would be under either. I think it'd just be everybody just in the flow state. So my group of death for Haiti would be Argentina, Morocco, Norway, Haiti, or Spain, Morocco, South Africa, Haiti, or Spain, Croatia, South Africa, Haiti. Yeah, or I guess Spain, Colombia, Norway, Haiti. Well, all those are pretty tough. And lastly, group of life for the Haitians. Belgium again, man. Belgium again. Because I think that Haiti have so much attacking talent, they can get a goal. And why couldn't they hold on? Placides has some crazy games since the last Gold Cup. Maybe he plays out of his skin and they could get a 1-1. I don't know. We've seen crazier things at the World Cup, man. In the pot 2, I'm thinking Austria is actually the dream team here. More so than an Ecuador. more so than in Uruguay. Because Uruguay, while they're down bad, they're just going to be hacking and slashing. And I don't know if Haiti could really create anything in that game. Maybe they could get a point, but Uruguay would still be heavy favorites in my opinion. I actually think Austria, because they're a decent defensive team, but not particularly great, and they haven't really beaten anyone of note since the last Nations League. It's been a while, so if you got to play a European team, which they do, why not Austria from pot 2? And in pot 3, it would be Qatar. I'm going to say Saudi Arabia too. They didn't play very well at all against Saudi Arabia at the Gold Cup, a Saudi Arabian B team. They did concede a penalty, and Saudi Arabia didn't create a damn thing, so I think Haiti could run it back. I feel like they could get something. They've also added a few players since then. And Qatar are just dead defensively. I think Haiti could beat them 2-1, something like that. But I don't think they could keep a clean sheet. Meaning my group of life for Haiti. This is hilarious. Belgium, Austria, Qatar, Haiti. I got 2 European teams in my group of life. Who else from pot 2 do I think Haiti could go bar for bar with? For some reason, I just feel like South Korea wouldn't do well. I don't know why. But like my spider sense is telling me if I have to pick an Asian side here, I think it would be South Africa. I'm not going to say Australia because I don't think Haiti bunker down like that. Therefore, I don't really think it's a tough matchup. But South Korea, they really like kind of calmer sides, more possession sides to play against. Haiti could take advantage there. So I guess if I don't want to have 2 European sides in my group of life for Haiti, I could also go Belgium, South Korea. Oh, but then I got to change my pot 3. So I guess it would be Belgium, South Korea. Dude, this is tough. I don't know. Ivory Coast. And then Haiti, I'm thinking about teams that don't score a lot. Something like that. Haitians, let me know your group of life down below in the comments. That is the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy. It is now 11 o'clock. I'm going to edit this as fast as I possibly can and then go to bed. I will upload my official World Cup draw in a couple days. Hit subscribe for that. And I'm going to be doing comprehensive group previews as well. So rest assured, no matter where you're from, Haiti, Panama, USA, plenty more videos covering your national team on the channel very soon, okay? I appreciate you guys for watching. Smash the like button if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one.